back to Andries and our breakout room exercise. But before we go there, I would just like to before we go to Andries, Andries, I just want to present something quickly on the screen. All right, I'm just going to take control of the screen for a bit. Share. Okay, so this is basically what I wanted to let me put this in full screen because it deserves to be in full screen mode. So I'd like to congratulate Dr. Andries Botha for receiving our 2022 award for his outstanding contributions to the field of system dynamics in South Africa. Andries has been in this space for decades. And he's actually been very fundamental in terms of changing mindsets from school level in a school educational environment up to corporates and even in academic spaces. So this is an award that we vote on as a council. It's an award that's awarded every year to someone that's deserving. And this year, it goes to someone that's done amazing work, that's been very fundamental to the success of the chapter, and who continues to immerse himself and provide growth opportunities for people in the country in terms of system dynamics. So, Andries, well done and congratulations. I shall get the trophy out of my office at some stage. If you're really nice to me, I'll give it back to you for this year's award. Would you like to say anything?
Just thank you very much, Nalini, and thank you to the Policy Council. Yeah, as you say, it's been decades, and I hope I changed one or two minds and at least got people to just think a bit differently about their problems. So thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. Before we disappear, there's one more award. Oh, well, certificate of appreciation. View, full screen. And this goes to Mr. Corne Deploy and Dr. Andries Botha again. This is in recognition of them having successfully co-hosted, the 5th annual International System Dynamics competition for the South African System Dynamics chapter. As far as we know, it's the only one that's running internationally on this level in the world. And we've got a lot of support from especially IC Systems, but also from the System Dynamics Society, who have helped to kind of drive this and give it the exposure it needs. And honestly, you can't get something better in terms of platforms and opportunities to grow system dynamics, because it's absolutely free. Corne and Andries, they use their weekends to provide free workshops to the people who register for these competitions. They provide you with software through the course of the workshop, through the course of the competition, which is over several months. And they literally, they hold your hand, they're on call to support the development of system dynamic skills. And it's just a phenomenal accomplishment that they've done this now for 5 years. And it's something that I know is going to grow even more. And congratulations, guys. You deserve acknowledgement, and know that we appreciate the efforts that you take, especially in your own time, to actually drive this initiative. If you guys want to also unmute and clap, this is difficult when you do these things and you can't hear the clapping and applause and great stuff. Would you guys like to say anything, Corne?
Maybe just thank you so much, Naini. Thank you, everyone. I mean, like I said yesterday as well, it's not something that's been done alone. It's because of everyone's support. So, but I really appreciate that, and I hope to see more of Systematics grow. Thank you so much.
Great, thanks, Corne. Andries?
Just thank you.
Okay, it's a pleasure. Okay, over to you. I think you're gonna run the next the breakout session, so you can project and go for it.
Okay, there we go. There's a slight change to the original program. So today we're going to do this workshop, and then tomorrow we will have the presentation that Lisa was supposed to do now. So basically what I want to do is to use or give an opportunity for people. My new hobby is the AND solutions rather than all solutions. And the focus there is how do we create solutions for sustainability and change people's mindset. So let me try and take you through what we want to do. So first thing, I'm going to give us all an overview. I'll give you some examples of what I mean and what I'm talking about. Then we'll have an opportunity for breakout rooms. Corne has set that up, so you will automatically go to the breakout room. You'll have about 20 minutes there for discussion. My suggestion is very quickly nominate a scribe, and if the person can please capture the discussion for you and then also feedback to us. So I want you to select a specific problem. You can use the list that I'll give at the end, or you can use any problem. And then I want you to discuss the AND solution that will ensure sustainability. So no all solutions, only AND solutions. And then we'll have a 3-minute report back per group. So basically, what am I talking about? Is if we draw a graph and we say there's solution 1 and at the bottom there's solution 2. So one has got advantages on the y-axis and one has got advantages on the x-axis. Theoretically, there can be a linear relationship, or if we look at the all solution, the drop-off from the one side to the other side is so dramatic that we basically say it is binary. So we can either go with option 1 or we can go with option 2. The AND solution says, but maybe there's a space along this top curve where there's a solution that benefits both parties and is actually in total a better solution than the all solution. So let me give you an example. First one I want to mention is industrial development or ecotourism. Unfortunately, I don't have a South African picture. This is an Australian picture. But on the left-hand side, we've got a barge that is busy mining heavy sand. So basically, they use water. They pump the sand through a separator, and the heavy sands they keep, and that is titanium dioxide. Very profitable business. They reckon that this is probably one of the most profitable businesses in the world. On the right-hand side, we've got the little town of St. Lucia, where you will meet hippopotamus in the street in the early mornings. However, what happened was there was a decision in the 1980s to say, do we develop the industrial development or do we focus on ecotourism? And at that point, they made an all decision. They basically exclusively focused on ecotourism. The problem with that is now this town can only get any real income in the tourist seasons, which is summer. Secondly, because there's not enough economics going on, the road infrastructure getting to St. Lucia has deteriorated to the point where if you do not own a 4x4, your chances of getting there unscathed is pretty limited. So this is an example of an OR solution. Let me show you an example of an AND solution. This is a particular one. It's a scientific development and sheep farming. So on the top left, we've got the scientific development, which I deliberately took a picture that's a bit obscured so you can see the barren landscape. But there in the background, we've got the square kilometer array antennas. I think this is the Meerkat section, so the original prototypes they built. Now, key to these radio antennas is that you cannot have any radio interference. So you can't put electric cables. Everything needs to be shielded there. And basically what the project did was they bought out all those farmlands. Now, if you look at the bottom right, this is that same Kalahari. And the guys basically farm there with sheep. And they survive on really meager plant life. It's really barren. It's a very dry place. But what happened was once that the SKA people had bought these farms and they started putting up the antennas, they realized that they actually have no use for the farm. Only reason why they bought it up is so that they can control any development on that piece of land. So they can prevent you from building a structure or putting up anything that will interfere with the radio antennas. So what they then did is they went back to the farmers and they basically leased them the land back and said, you know, we bought it from you, but we're also willing to add a small fee, rent it out to you. And one of the interesting benefits that's happened is that, as you can see here, these sheep, there is absolutely no shade in the Kalahari because there's no trees that grow there. The sheep have adopted the antennas as places of shade. So underneath, in the middle of the day, you'll find heaps of sheep lying underneath the antennas, not interfering with the radio waves or anything, but utilizing the shade. And to me, this is what I mean when I talk about an and solution. We could have had an or solution to say, you know, buy the land, fence it off, nobody comes on there. But by bringing the farming back, we've now got a broader community that's benefiting there. Sorry, I have to brag. So this is another and opportunity where there's industrial development and ecology protection. So this warehouse was built basically on the border of a wetland. And when we originally looked at the property, we found that it was used as a farmland. And basically all the runoff went straight through this wetland and it washed out the wetland, damaged the ecology. And then it also flooded the people who live downstream from this wetland. When Toyota bought the property, we basically started, and it's very simple. If you design your wetland protection into your original facility design, the cost is minimal. And then secondly, if you maintain it as you maintain your facility, you also discover that, again, the cost is minimal. I think we pay less for protecting the wetland than we do for toilet paper every month. So it's a cheap solution and it's an easy solution. And what you'll see here on the bottom figure is, I don't know if you guys can see the fence where the car is driving. That fence is actually 10 meters inside the Toyota property. The Toyota property extends into the wetland, and we've used that to develop a retention dam that basically runs the whole length of our property, which is over 1 kilometer. And that basically ensures that any water that runs off from the facility gets into the wetland in a controlled manner. And at the moment, this wetland is seen as an example of what a pristine wetland should look like. And the environmental management system we've got there is what you should have when you do a sustainable urban drainage system, SAPs. And just here at the top, you know, we also had the Flufftail Festival, and we brought a bunch of school kids to come and together with us have a look-see and understand what you can do if you just pay a little attention during the design phase on your solution, and you can do an and solution. So what I would like to do for breakout topics is I'm going to give you a few topics. Option is to look at St. Lucia and say, is it too late, or is there a and solution for St. Lucia? We've got coastal oil and gas exploration in South Africa and community survival. Is there an and solution Of course, there's fracking. It's also there in the Kalahari where very few people live, but there's issues there. So is there an AND solution or not? We've got Amazon's new headquarters down on the coast. That's run up against people who want jobs and money, but they don't want the headquarters built there. And then, of course, we've got a battle that's been going on for many, many years, which is the subsistence versus the commercial fisheries. And the question is, should it be versus, or is it an and solution? And then finally, the other topic I've got is subsistence and commercial farming. You are more than welcome to pick any topic. And then basically, as I said earlier, what we want you to do is go to your breakout room. In the breakout room, quickly decide amongst yourself what topic you want to follow. Select a spokesperson. Then discuss what and solutions there are. And when we will give you about 20 minutes, and then Corné will call you all back. And then we will give about 3 minutes for each person or each group to just give us a quick report back. I don't know if there's any questions now before we send you off to your breakout rooms, please shout. If there's no questions, we're going to send you off to your breakout rooms. Corné, you ready?
Cool, yeah. I just wanted to make sure that you see there's a timer in the top left of this meeting even. There's a timer. Just note that that same timer will be in your breakout room so that you can keep track of, it will count down till 0. That's the only thing. But I don't see any questions, so I think I'm going to open up the breakout rooms for us.
Sorry, we just want a clear understanding of what the exercise is supposed to entail. So we said that it's basically how to have like a mutually beneficial way of living together between the two groups, or
exactly.
We must understand. Is that how what it's supposed to be?
That's exactly what we're looking for, is to say, stop being, stop only thinking about your own personal perspective, but also see what the other perspective can bring to the party. So how can the, industrial development and the tourism work together to end up with a better solution? I'll give you one of our Toyota solutions is that the wetland is part of our annual reporting. It's part of our bonus system. So if we miss, if we've got a spill into the wetland, we will basically be penalized on our bonus structure. We also, when we do our safety patrols, we take a walk past the wetland and we check and confirm that everything is still there. So it basically says, how do we make a solution that keeps everybody happy?
Okay, perfect.
And I just want to say everybody is back here, so we actually can continue with the discussion.
Okay, so how many breakout rooms did we have, Corné? 3.
We had 4 at the end of the day.
4 breakout rooms. And they have names or numbers?
I gave them names, but I don't know if everybody would remember what the names are, but I can.
Oh, no.
Cool. So the cranium focus was, let me, I think I remember who. Let's close this room. So the first group that was listed there, I think, was Sandor, David. I think Sandor and David were in that group. That's the cranium focus.
So shall we start, guys? Are you ready to start with us, or?
Yeah, in fact, Miss Hoffman was also in the group, so she's going to be our spokesperson. Thanks.
No. No,
Please
I think
just
we
put
agreed
your video
on
on and we
presenting
can
together.
see who we're talking to.
Okay, 1 second, please.
Or if you typed it out, you can put your presentation share your presentation with us.
Can you see my video now?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, I went the old school way and wrote it down in my notebook, so yeah, we agreed to talk about subsistence versus commercial farming because we all kind of that we didn't really see an end to fracking. So we thought farming was a more agreeable topic, although it's still very complex. So what we talked about was the difference between subsistence and commercial farming, because commercial farming is mainly done to turn a profit, and subsistence farming is usually done out of necessity to feed oneself. And we were talking about the benefits and drawbacks. For example, in commercial farmings, if you have a large number of livestock and your livestock gets infected with a disease, it's much easier for the disease to spread. Which is why we think that small-scale farms do have a big advantage in that regard. Also, one thing we touched upon is that people, especially in urban areas, are becoming more health conscious. Eat GMO food or chickens out of battery farming. So there's definitely a market for smaller scale farms like that. Chandra, do you have anything to add to that? Or David?
Yeah, I guess you know, one of the interesting things is, so I live in Kenya, and one of the interesting things in Kenya is that a lot of people who work in the city may have a small shamba, they call it, to go back to and grow food and stuff like that. And you know, so they grow enough food for themselves. So it's kind of subsistence, but at the same time, it's enough to sell as well. So there's small business opportunities. And this was very noticeable during COVID, where a lot of people lost their jobs. And what they did instead is they resorted to growing food and selling food, you know, out of the back of their cars on the road. So, you know, really there are strengths in combining the two. You know, there's resilience, maybe better resilience to disease. You know, not just dealing with the pandemic, but actually diseases that might be passing through animals, where you might have to have mass slaughters in commercial farming. So certainly the model seems to be a good one, and it could benefit you know, larger commercial scale operations as well, as to have to help subsistence farmers grow their own food, and then for any produce that they have that's left over, to be able to sell that as well, or help them sell it.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to rush everybody a bit because I see we've run into tea time. I got my timing a bit wrong. Thank you very much. I think it was very useful. Yes.
So can I ask for a team photo quickly? This is evidence that we actually had this exercise. Your last team member, if they can just join and switch on, please.
David.
I hope you can see me.
Done. Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Corné, next team is?
The next team is the mine
volunteer?
expansion team, which is Yumna. I think it's Dr. Skokobla, and I believe there was one other person, but I don't know. There's a whole list of people. I'm not sure if there's another person actually present. You guys can call them out.
Okay. Go for it. You're still muted.
Muted.
Sorry. Okay, so it was Sorry, it was just us, me and Yumna, and we decided to discuss the area that I actually have experience in, which is forestry and specifically plantation forestry. So I know most of you probably wouldn't relate it to farming, but it is actually a kind of farming, and there are different forms of combining forestry plantations with subsistence farming or other mixed use for economic gain. So for example, Jonkershoek is a good example where a forestry company is using the forest to also in a mixed use recreation opportunity to have mountain biking and trail running available, facilities available. So there's a mixed use opportunity. For example, in some of the plantations in the Mpumalanga Highveld and even the escarpment area, some of those plantations have been used for mushroom farming. And what is not that popular in South Africa is agroforestry, where you combine agriculture with forestry. One of the challenges is that one of the biggest risks to plantations are fires, and most fires are statistically created by communities in the forestry area. So the forestry companies are generally wary of allowing people in the forests. But there's definitely opportunity to improve agroforestry in South Africa and Africa. And just another thing, there's a lot of potential for growing plantations in Africa. And typically the model that they are looking into is agroforestry, where they combine forestry with agriculture. So I think that was an example of how the two can work in combination.
Thank you, Schalk. Again,
sense.
a very good example. Nalini, you want a photo? So Yumna, video, please.
Perfect, got it, thank you.
Okay, and our next group?
Our next group, I believe there was Yana and so
who was in the group with Yana? Okay, there we go.
Okay. Hi, so we also chose
So
the
did you get your presentation right? I don't want Cornette to get all tense again.
No presentation, no tense. So we also chose subsistence farming versus commercial farming. So commercial farming, providing food for the masses essentially, would also end up with enormous amount of food waste. So this is specifically from perishables like fruits and vegetables. And this would then create an opportunity for other companies to come in, or even branches out of in the same commercial farm. Many of these won't necessarily be able to give away their food waste or use it in some way, and would then dump these type of fruits and vegetables. So we thought of an idea where we can have, let's say, the outside perimeter of your premises, you would have a type of cooler rooms, and you would have contracts with specific companies that would be food trucks that can deliver food to the needy. And you can call them every so often when you do run into a problem or a situation when you do have food waste, and they would come and collect it on your behalf, and they would take care of that. And that would also then be a benefit for the commercial farm, as they would have their name essentially associated with these type of goodwill activities.
Cool, great idea. You know that here in Gauteng, the farmers plant in a circle, and everything outside the circle is outside the fence. They will plant that too, and allow the community to harvest that. So good idea. Again, can we have a team photo there for Nalini? Where's your team member?
Sorry, not possible. Microsoft is blocking my camera, so sorry.
Sorry, JP.
Because I have to quit Teams.
Thank you. I've taken that. Thanks. Jana.
Yeah.
Thank you. Corné, we've got one last group then.
Yeah, it's I think it's Lungi, Kabir, and I don't know if there was anyone else with them. Unfortunately, I can't see who was present with them all the time, but I think it was Lungi.
CC.
CC.
Okay,
was with
cool.
us.
Can you guys start to, who's your spokesperson?
Sure, it's me, Cici. Hello. Hello, everyone. Well, I took some notes for what we were discussing. Coincidentally, we also use the topic, or we chose the subsistence farming and commercial farming, the coexistence of both of them. And at first we just analyzed the differences in between both of them, or let's say define them. The first one is like subsistence farming will grow crops for themselves, will be more on a small scale. People that use this farming will use their own resources, and in all terms like land, economical resources, and everything that they have. And as it's a small scale, it's focused for just maybe one person for themselves, or maybe for their family or a small community. Then also subsistence farming, they will give the skills. Well, actually, they have the skills and they have the know-how. That in this case, this is how they relate to commercial farming, because they know they could give this know-how to when there is a bigger business. So for commercial farming, we talk about that mostly their supply is on a medium or a bigger scale, like maybe a city or a urban environment or something like that. And it's focused for more about selling and business and having commercial opportunities. As well, commercial farming, they offer job opportunities, even for people who are from subsistence farming, because well, they can be employed in this commercial farming because they know they have the skills, and therefore they can also get an employment opportunity and salary. Yeah, basically that. If anyone else have something to add, Kabir or.
Thanks,
Thank
Cici.
you
I think you
very
covered most of it well. Yeah.
Can we have a picture of the group, please? Just videos for all of you, please. And we need Kabir.
I don't think it's
Video.
working properly.
Oh, come on, video,
My
video,
camera.
video. You're shy.
Yeah, they can go ahead.
Nalini, will you take a photo?
I've done it. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you all. So yeah, thank you all for participating. And as I indicated initially, I think sometimes we get so caught up in the battles that the various parties have, that we forget that, we're all on the same planet and we all need to find a solution. And I have a long-term plan. When I'm 200, I plan to retire. So we need to make sure that the planet is a place to retire on by then. So that's partly what drives my passion for system dynamics, is if I can make one person make a better decision that's going to make my life simpler 100 years from now, then I've achieved my objective. So thank you all.